games of the regular season for Baltimore. Jackson walked out of the locker room in a protective boot. The Ravens currently hold the lead in the AFC North for now. Here's ESPN Ravens reporter Jamison Hensley on Jackson's injury last night from primetime on ESPN Radio.
The way he couldn't even put any weight on his foot as he was being carted off the field doesn't make a lot of people optimistic. I know that. But Jackson, he has been one of the more durable quarterbacks. Even though he has taken a lot of hits over his 4-year career, he has never missed a game because of an injury. He missed a couple because of illness, nothing because of injury. So we'll see. I mean, the Ravens right now, they have a half-game lead in the AFC North over the Cincinnati Bengals, and they have 4 games remaining. But if Jackson can't go, they'll turn the ball over to Tyler Huntley, who nearly pulled off a remarkable comeback today.
Yeah, how big a concern is this for the Ravens, Key? Who's the favorite in the AFC North now?
Well, I mean, they still are the favorite, depending on whether or not Lamar is capable of playing. If Lamar's not in the game and he's not playing and he misses any time at all, it's probably going to be a wrap. It's probably going to wind up going down to Cincinnati and letting Cleveland climb back in the picture. Lamar is the key to their victory. And I understand Huntley made a nice little comeback, and it was all exciting in the end. And we thought, oh, God, here we go again with another win from him. He won a game earlier in the year when he took over for Lamar due to illness. But you got to have that dude. The dude is the most exciting, most electrifying, explosive player in the National Football League. If you cannot have him on the field, your chances, according to Keyshawn, not FPI, go way down.
I will say this. I mean, it's Cincinnati's right now to lose. You got to go get it if you're Cincinnati. Lamar Jackson hurt, even if he tries to play, probably be ginger on that ankle. I was thinking about how they finished down the stretch. Packers at home, at Bengals, Rams, and Steelers. I mean, that's a tough stretch down the end. And then you think about Cincinnati. I mean, obviously at Broncos, Ravens, Chiefs, Browns. I mean, They didn't pull it off last night. They tried to come back into force in the game into overtime for the Bengals against 49ers, but you're still looking at that talent sitting there for Cincy, and you're like, all right, it's our opportunity to go get it.
Yeah, I mean, forget about Zach Taylor for a second, the Bengals coach, who, like, you got to trust Burrow and Jamar Chase at the end of games, I think. I know you take what the defense gives you, Mixon's good. But anyway, putting that aside, Huntley looked good to me. But I agree with you, Key. There's a difference. There are levels. So Huntley looks good, and he can do a certain Lamar Jackson imitation because he can move and he can throw. But Lamar Jackson has won games this year for this team that no one else could have won. So that's why
I'm glad you said it was imitation.
Yeah, right. But it's good you have a quarterback who can approximate your starter. But Lamar Jackson, it's not just, he's fast and he can throw. He's had 3 different games this year where anyone else is the quarterback and they lose. And we're not even talking about the Ravens. He is covered up for an enormous number of injuries on this team. If he can't go, they're cooked. You got to think they're cooked. All right. Emmett Golden, because we're on the AFC North. ESPN 850 Cleveland joins us on the Goodyear Hotline, brought to you by Goodyear, making the plays that move you forward. Goodyear, more driven. All right, Emmett, how are you feeling about the Browns' chances to win the North, given what happened yesterday?
You don't feel great about it. You know, they're still in it, and all you can ask for is a chance. It felt like in the first half that the bye week, kind of had some home cooking going for the Browns, and they got some things fixed. But in the second half, it was more of the same. So, I guess all that matters is that you win. But this offense has been struggling for most of the year to score points. And you guys know if you want to make the playoffs and do anything inside the playoffs, you're going to have to put numbers up on that scoreboard, and the Browns offense is struggling to do that right now.
Emmett, how do you feel right now about Baker? I mean, he was 22 of 32, a couple touchdowns there. Not great, not bad, but not great. How would you assess his play just yesterday only?
Yeah, not great. That's exactly how I would describe it. In the first half, again, it's like, wow, he has 2 touchdowns. You feel like, okay, Baker's got some stuff going. But in the second half, I'll give credit to the Ravens defense because, over the past 2 games with a bye week in between, they've really shut down the Browns running game. And Baker's a different guy when Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt's running all over the place. They didn't have that element of the offense. And it seems like a lot of teams in the NFL, they're willing to take their chances with Baker Mayfield as long as they can stop the run game of the Browns. So I thought Baker was okay. I still feel like the jury jury is kind of out, and after 4 years, you would hope that you'd have a verdict, right? But I think last year he was okay, or last week anyway. I think he was okay.
So yesterday, Emmett, Myles Garrett broke the Browns single-season record for sacks in the season, which is just crazy. What are your thoughts on that, and what has he meant to the defense and this team this year?
Myles is amazing, and I really do believe he was the first piece to kind of turn this team around, after going 1-31. The Browns, took him number 1 overall, and you could see right away that he was going to be a dominant force in the NFL, and he's the thing that gets this defense going. Early on, the defense really didn't have continuity because they had a lot of new pieces, but you could count on Myles Garrett, and here he is, in the Defensive Player of the Year race, and him and T.J. Watt, I think it's going to come down to one of those guys. But when you have a guy like Myles getting after the quarterback and you have solid corners like the Browns do, then that usually benefits the defense greatly. So I think the Browns defense led by Myles Garrett is good enough to make some noise in the playoffs. They just got to fix that offense.
Okay, that's Ravens-Browns, but when you look over at Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow really kind of had the handcuffs on at the end of that game. They kind of duped the Bengals into, hey, run the ball. Look, we're not going to stop you. Run the ball. Just don't give it to Joe Burrow and let him find Jamar Chase or one of these guys. Is there any sense, Emmett, I'm just trying to get a sense of Cleveland right now, that fans look over at Cincinnati and think, damn, if we had a real baller like Joe Burrow. Is there any of that going on?
There's a little bit of it, not a whole lot. Again, last time I talked to you guys, I brought up how, Cleveland really does love Baker Mayfield. He got so much equity with the fan base when he went on the road to Pittsburgh and beat Ben Roethlisberger, who just toyed with the Browns most of his career. And for him to have that success, it meant a lot. So this fan base, it feels like this is our guy. And, yeah, Burrow looks amazing. And obviously Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. So you look around the AFC North, you go, man, there are some great quarterbacks, but there's a lot of loyalty among this fan base to Baker Mayfield because he was able to do what nobody in the past 20-plus years was able to do for the Browns. So there's not a lot of envy with the fan base, but, yeah, Joe Burrow, he's a good one, good Ohio boy. So, we pull for him after Baker for sure. Yeah, but everybody's pretty loyal to Baker here.
I mean, as you look at the Browns, and I changed my mind on them like babies change diapers. It's like 1 minute I say this, the next minute I say that about them. What do you think their chances are in making the playoffs? Do they got to win the division, or could they somehow slide into one of those sneaky 7 spots?
I'll say they have to finish 3-1 now. I would say over the last 5 games, you got to finish 4-1. They started that yesterday with the win against the Ravens. I'd say the only game they can afford to lose is that Christmas Day game against Green Bay, but they have to win all their division games, and they got to beat the Raiders next week on Saturday. I think 4-1 will get them in one way or another, but that probably will win the division, and that's the safest way to do it. So they need to go on a run. And last year after the bye week, Kevin Stefanski was able to do that. Now I don't know if it's too little, too late, but tons of pressure on this team. If they don't finish 4-1, there'll be no postseason for the Browns.
It's a problem. Emmett, before we let you go quickly, you said there's a lot of loyalty, and that stayed with me in Cleveland for Baker because he went and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. But since you told us that, I've heard mixed things out of Cleveland about Baker, that there's a kind of undercurrent or a segment of the fan base. In fact, he even had to address it, right, and call them stupid at some point. Do you mean to tell me that what you told us last, I don't know, maybe that was about a month ago or so, 6 weeks ago, still remains, or has that changed at all? Why are there fans that he has to address now?
Well, I mean, it is. There's cracks in the armor. I will say that. But the diehard Baker fans, man, they'll be ready to fight you if you say anything bad. I always go back to the old "In Living Color" skit. You better not say nothing bad about Miss Jenkins, right? Because his fans will not go for it. But yeah, there are some fans in Cleveland that are really disappointed because coming off of last year, you're like, yo, the Browns are going to go to the Super Bowl this year, and everybody was so excited. And this season has been anything but exciting. It's really been disappointing. Now, the team is much better than they've been over, like I said, the past 20 years. But a lot of people are disappointed, and they look at Baker because he hadn't played as well as he did last year.
We're up against it, Emmett. It's my fault. Thank you very much. Emmett Golden, co-host of The Next Level with Emmett and Gerard on ESPN 850 Cleveland.